The red lights flashed across the giant space station as Admiral Vexstar looked at the reports coming in from the outer edge of the galaxy. His 6 eyes moved quickly across the glowing screens, but what he saw made no sense. This cannot be right, he said to himself, his voice making clicking sounds that the translator turned into words. The Apex never run away, they only attack and eat. Counselor Threen moved closer to him. Her body looked like living crystal, and the red warning lights made her shine in strange ways. The information is correct. Admiral, 17 Apex hunting. Groups have left Sector 7 Alpha. Our spy ships say they are running away. Running away from what? Vexter's jaw parts clicked together with worry. In 300 years of space war, the Apex predators had never shown fear. They were made of living metal and rock. They ate entire planets full of people and left nothing but floating rocks behind. A young worker's voice came through the communication system. Sir, we are getting broken messages from the Apex ships that are running away. Our language computer is having trouble understanding some of the words they use. Let us hear it. The room filled with harsh, grinding sounds. This was how the Apex talked when they conquered worlds. But under their usual angry voices was something new and terrible. Fear. The computer tried to translate the broken messages. The death world burns in the dark of space. Their children hunt us now. Blue marble, of endless anger. Threen's crystal body became dimmer. A death world that hunts the Apex. What kind of creature could do that? Send a robot spy ship to look, Vexter ordered. We need to know what made them run. 3 days later, the spy ship's information came back. A picture appeared above the council table, a blue and green ball floating in space. It was covered with huge storms, and its surface looked like a patchwork of extreme hot and cold places. First scans show this is a Class 12 death world, the spy ship's computer reported. Surface temperatures go from -60 to +70 degrees. The air would kill most life forms. Ground shaking happens too much to be safe. Multiple planet events found in rock layers. Advice, stay away from this place. Wait, Threen's voice sounded confused. Energy readings show there is civilization there. The picture zoomed in closer, showing huge cities, space stations, and most impossible of all ships. They looked rough compared to Galaxy standard ships, but they worked, and they were moving. By the empty void, Vexstar whispered, something actually lives on that nightmare world. The meaning hit the council like a giant wave. Any species that could live on a Class 12 death world would be more dangerous than anything they had ever seen. There would be something completely new in the history of the galaxy. Sir, the young worker's voice shook with fear. We are detecting huge energy signatures moving toward our spy ship. Multiple contacts, coming fast. On the screen, a group of angular ships appeared from the darkness. They looked like predators, with purpose and completely alien in their design. Try to talk to them, Vexstar commanded. The answer came immediately, but it was not a greeting, it was a warning, sent in broken galactic standard language. This is Commander Jinsu of the Terran Defense Force. You are in restricted space. Tell us why you are here, or we will shoot you. The casual threat in the message made every being in the room feel cold. These creatures talked about violence the way others talked about weather. We are the Galactic Council, Vexstar replied carefully. We come in peace, wanting to talk. A pause. Then, understood. Follow the escort paths we give you. Any movement away from those paths will be considered hostile. The spy ship's signal went dark. The council sat in shocked silence. They had found the species that made the Apex. Run away. Commander Jinsu's ship moved through space like a hunting animal. Its hull was covered in scars from battles, and strange symbols were painted on its sides. The ship looked like it had been built for war, and nothing else. What kind of world creates warriors like this? Threen asked quietly. Vexter studied the data. Again, the planet called Earth was a nightmare of extreme weather, deadly animals, and natural disasters that happened over and over again. Most species would die within hours of landing there. Yet somehow, humans had not only survived, but had grown strong. Look at their ship designs, he said, pointing to the tactical display. Every line, every curve, is built for fighting. These beings do not just expect war, they live for it. The final message from Commander Jinsu came through the communication system. Council ship, you will dock at Station Harmony in 6 hours. Be warned, we have detected Apex signatures heading. For this system, they are making a mistake. The calm confidence in those words terrified Vexstar more than any threat could have. These humans spoke of facing the Apex like it was just another day at work. As the council ship followed the human escorts toward Earth, Vexstar realized they were not just making contact with a new species, they were meeting the galaxy's new Apex predators. And somehow, he suspected the Apex were about to learn what it felt like to be prey. The diplomatic ship, Harmony of Worlds, moved slowly toward Earth's outer defense area with all weapons turned off and shields at their lowest power. Ambassador Creonal had demanded they approach peacefully, even though Admiral Vexstar had warned him about how dangerous this star system was. Amazing, Creonal said, looking at the battle displays. They have put weapons on every asteroid, every moon. This is not just a defense network. This is the thinking of people who expect to be attacked all the time. Captain Hyojin's voice came through the communication system from the lead human escort ship. Council vessel, stay on your current path. You will dock with Station Harmony. In 6 hours, be warned, we have multiple Apex signatures coming toward this system. Vextar's combat experience made him alert. How many? 87 hunter killers, 12 dreadnoughts, and something we have not seen before. Our scans suggest it is a worldcracker ship. The numbers made Creonal's diplomatic confidence disappear. A force that big could destroy entire sectors of space. Captain, perhaps we should leave and come back later when it is safer. Negative on running away, Ambassador, Hyojin interrupted. We do not abandon guests. Besides, it is only 100 ships. Only 100 ships. The casual way he dismissed such overwhelming odds sent chills through the council delegation. 2 hours later, the Apex fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a swarm of mechanical insects. The lead dreadnought immediately began broadcasting in the harsh Apex language, surrender or be consumed. The human response was swift and completely insane. All ships, this is Admiral Minho aboard TDS Indomitable, Apex Fleet. You have made a mistake coming here. This is Earth. We do not surrender. What happened next went against every rule of civilized warfare. Human ships, converted mining vessels, old cargo ships, ships that should not have survived their first fight with Apex weapons, flew straight into the enemy formation. By the void, Vextar breathed, watching the tactical display. They are ramming them. The TD's defiant, her hull, already broken and leaking air into space, drove directly into an Apex hunter. Both ships disappeared in a brief star of nuclear fire. This is Captain Sung Ho of the Berserker. Hull breach on decks 4 through 7. Engines at 30%. We are boarding the enemy dreadnought. Boarding Creonal could not understand it. They are boarding Apex vessels. The answer came as human marines, sealed in rough but effective combat armor, cut their way through Apex hull metal with fusion torches. The screams that came across the communication channels were not entirely human. Admiral Minho's tactical display showed impossible odds. 40 human ships against 100 Apex vessels. By every military rule in the galaxy, Earth should have been consumed within the hour. Instead, the Apex began to retreat. Impossible, Vextar muttered, watching Apex dreadnoughts flee from human corvettes. The Apex do not retreat from weaker forces. Captain Hyojin's voice carried grim satisfaction. They do when they realize they are not fighting a weaker force, they are fighting humans. The human ship Retribution had been badly damaged. Half her structure was destroyed, and her crew areas were open to the vacuum of space. But instead of retreating, she flew directly into the heart of an Apex worldcracker ship and detonated her reactor. The explosion lit up half the star system. After the battle, as rescue ships pulled survivors from the wreckage, Creonal stared at the battle reports. Humanity had lost 37 ships and over 2,000 lives. But they had broken an Apex fleet that should have been unstoppable. How? He whispered. Admiral Minho's image appeared on the main screen. His face was scarred, his uniform was torn, but his eyes held something that chilled the ambassador to his core. Satisfaction. You want to know how we beat them? Minho asked. Same way we beat everything else on this rock we call home. We decided they had to die more than we had to live. The statement was simple, but it revealed something terrifying about human nature. They were willing to die to win. Not just willing, they seemed to prefer it. Captain Sungo's damaged ship limped past the observation deck. Through the broken hull, Creonal could see human crew members still working, still fighting, even though their ship was barely holding together. Look at them, Vextar said quietly. They fight like death means nothing to them. No, Creonal corrected. Finally, understanding, they fight like death means everything to them. They would rather die fighting than live surrendering. As the Harmony of Worlds docked with Station Harmony, the ambassador realized they were not just making first contact with a new species. They were meeting beings who had turned warfare into an art form, who treated impossible odds as a personal challenge. The Apex had ruled through fear for millennia, but fear meant nothing to creatures who had been born on a world that tried to kill them. Every single day, Earth's children had arrived in the galaxy, and they were hungry for a fight. Dr. Soyoung stood before the group of alien visitors in Earth's biggest science laboratory. Floating pictures surrounded the conference room, showing information that would help explain what made humans different. The 12 aliens from different species across the galaxy watched carefully, trying to understand something that should not exist. You want to know what makes humans different? She began, her voice calm and sure. The answer is not in our blood, or our machines, it is in our history. The first floating picture appeared. Earth as it was 70 million years ago, green and beautiful. This was our world during the time of the great lizards. Paradise by galaxy standards, warm, stable, full of life. Then, this happened. The display changed to show a massive rock from space hitting the planet. The explosion could be seen from space. The planet's surface erupted in fire, and ash. Ambassador Creonal leaned forward. The Great Dying. We have seen this pattern on dozens of worlds. Complete ecosystem collapse. Nothing survives. Nothing survives. Dr. Soyoung agreed, except what learns to change faster than the planet can kill it. The picture moved quickly through millions of years. Ice ages that turned the planet into a frozen wasteland. Volcano eruptions that poisoned the air for centuries. Magnetic field changes that let deadly space radiation through. Every few million years, Earth's tried to kill all life on it. Most species died out, but a few, the ancestors of mammals, birds, and eventually humans, learned something that no other species in the galaxy has had to master. Which is? Vexter asked, though his jaw parts clicked with nervous worry. How to survive when your own world wants you dead. The display changed to early human history, ice ages that should have killed them, droughts that lasted for generations, predators that made the apex look like small scavengers, saber-toothed cats, cave bears, short-faced bears that stood 4 meters tall. Humans did not just survive these predators, we hunted them until they were all dead. Not because we were stronger, but because we never gave up. We were more ruthless, more willing to die to make sure our species lived. Dr. Taman, the expedition's military historian, stepped forward. The pattern repeated throughout human development. Every disaster, every extinction event, every environmental collapse made us harder, stronger, better at adapting. The picture showed human migration patterns, tiny groups of early humans walking out of Africa, crossing frozen land bridges, surviving in places that killed everything else. We spread to every continent, every climate zone, every environmental extreme deserts that cook you alive during the day and freeze you at night. Arctic wastelands where the sun does not rise for months. Volcanic islands where the ground itself is poison. Counselor Threen's crystal form flickered with confusion. But why? Why not find safer worlds, easier environments? Dr. Soyoung smiled, and the expression was predatory in a way that made several aliens step back without thinking. Because safe environments do not make survivors, they make prey. The final picture showed modern Earth, cities built on earthquake lines, populations living in hurricane zones, settlements on volcanic slopes. We did not just adapt to Earth's violence, she explained, we learned to love it. Every human city is built in defiance of natural disasters. Every human generation grows up expecting the world to try to kill them. Your point? Vexter asked, though his combat instincts were already giving him uncomfortable answers. My point is that you have spent the last 1,000 years hiding from the apex because they are the galaxy's apex predators. But they evolved on worlds that wanted them to succeed. Earth spent 4 billion years trying to create the perfect killer. Dr. Taman activated another display. Combat footage from the recent battle. Watch how we fight. No retreat. No surrender. No concept of acceptable losses. We fight like everything else on Earth fights, like death is better than defeat. The footage showed human Marines boarding apex vessels, continuing to fight with cut-off arms and legs, exploding grenades while dying from terrible wounds. A young human soldier on the recording, bleeding from multiple wounds, continued firing his weapon even as apex claws tore through his armor. When his weapon ran out of ammunition, he pulled out a knife. When the knife broke, he used his bare hands. You call it insanity, Dr. Soyoung concluded. We call it Tuesday. The silence that followed was deep and frightening. Finally, spoke. What do you want from the galaxy? Nothing, she replied. We are not looking for allies or protectors. We are looking for new challenges. The meaning of that statement hung in the air like poison gas. Earth had not just survived the apex attack, they had enjoyed it. Dr. Soyoung activated one more display, showing Earth's ecosystem, predators hunting other predators. Plants that could kill with poison, whether that changed from deadly heat to deadly cold in hours. Every day on Earth is a fight for survival, she said simply. We have been preparing for the apex our entire evolutionary history. We just did not know it yet. The aliens stared at the images of Earth's violence. Finally, understanding what they were dealing with, Earth had not produced a species, it had produced a weapon. And now, that weapon was loose in the galaxy, looking for something worthy to fight. The largest apex war fleet in galaxy history came out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system like a metal storm. 500 ships. Led by the Apex Prime, a moon-sized warship that had cracked a dozen worlds into pieces. Admiral Vexter watched from the bridge of the Council observer ship Neutral Ground, positioned at what they hoped was a safe distance. The diplomatic mission had failed. The Apex had rejected all attempts at peace talks. Their message had been simple. Earth would be consumed. Sir, his sensor operator reported, the human defense fleet is smaller than we expected. On the tactical display, 200 human ships formed a defensive screen around Earth, outnumbered more than 2 to 1, facing weapons that had destroyed entire civilizations. Captain Jung Woo's voice came over the emergency channel. Council, vessel, we recommend you move back to minimum safe distance. This is going to get messy. Captain Vextar replied, your fleet is outnumbered. Perhaps if you fell back to a safer position and regrouped later. Admiral Jungwoo interrupted. And there was something in his voice that made Vexstar's combat instincts scream warnings. We are not falling back. This is Earth. This is home. The Apex Prime's first attack was designed to show overwhelming power, a planet cracker beam that could bore through the crust of continents. The beam struck Earth's northern hemisphere, and for a moment the planet's surface erupted in fire. Then something impossible happened. The beam struck the Yellowstone supervolcano. Oh, Void, take us all, Vexstar whispered as his sensors registered what the Apex weapon had triggered. They have awakened a The eruption was visible from space, a column of ash and molten rock that reached into the upper atmosphere. But instead of panicking, the human fleet moved to new positions. All ships, came Admiral Dong Hyan's calm voice from the TDS. The planet is giving us cover. Use the ash cloud. What followed was beyond the understanding of civilized warfare. Human ships dove into the volcanic ash cloud, using their planet's fury as camouflage. Apex targeting systems, designed for the clarity of space combat, could not see through the thick, swirling particles. The human vessel Pompeii emerged from the ash cloud directly beneath an Apex hunter killer, firing point-blank into its reactor core before disappearing back into the rolling darkness. They are using the disaster as a tactical advantage, Creonal breathed from his position on the observer deck. They are fighting inside a volcanic eruption. But the supervolcano was just the beginning. The Apex Prime's continued bombardment triggered unstable ground across the planet. The Pacific Ring of Fire awakened with a vengeance. Underwater volcanoes created massive steam clouds that interfered with Apex sensors. Ground shaking generated electromagnetic pulses that disrupted their formation flying. Status report. The Apex Prime commander demanded in his grinding language. The planet is fighting us, came the unbelieving reply from a hunter-killer captain. Seismic weapons, atmospheric interference, electromagnetic disruption. It is like the world itself is hostile. Captain Youngsu's laughter echoed across the communication channels. Hostile? You call this hostile? This is Earth being gentle with you. As if summoned by his words, a solar flare erupted from Earth's star, a coincidence that the desperate Apex chose to interpret as evidence of human weather control. The human strategy became clear as the battle continued. Every Apex attack on Earth's surface triggered natural disasters that the humans then used as weapons. Earthquake-generated tsunamis disrupted Apex landing zones. Volcanic ash clouds provided cover for human strike teams. Even the aurora borealis, made stronger by the solar activity, interfered with Apex navigation systems. This is impossible, Vexstar muttered, watching human fighters execute combat maneuvers in the middle of a planetary catastrophe. No species fights in conditions like this. Dr. Soyoung's voice came over the emergency channel from Earth's surface. Admiral, you are thinking about this wrong. We are not fighting in these conditions despite the disasters. We are fighting in these conditions because of them. This is what Earth taught us. A human pilot, call sign Dragon 7, flew his fighter through a lightning storm caused by volcanic ash interacting with the upper atmosphere. Instead of avoiding the electrical discharge, he used it to mask his approach on an Apex bomber. Target acquired, Dragon 7 reported calmly as lightning struck his ship's hull, engaging through the storm. The Apex bomber never saw the attack coming through the electrical chaos. The final blow came when the Apex Prime attempted to crack Earth's crust with a sustained bombardment. The beam struck the mid-Atlantic ridge, triggering a chain reaction of underwater volcanic eruptions. The resulting electromagnetic pulse did not just disable Apex systems, it created a feedback loop that overloaded the Prime's main reactor. As the moon-sized dreadnought began to break apart, Captain Jungwoo's final transmission was audible across the fleet. Welcome to Earth, you silicon bastards. Population, not you. The surviving Apex vessels fled the system in complete disorder. Their commander's last message, a warning broadcast across all Apex frequencies. Avoid the death world. The planet itself hunts. In the aftermath, as Earth's natural disasters gradually calmed down, Vexstar stared at the tactical reports with growing horror. Humanity had not just defeated the Apex, they had done it with their planet's help. Earth and its children had fought as one organism, and together they were unstoppable. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Vexstar found himself in the same council chambers where this nightmare had begun. But the red warning lights had been replaced by something far more frightening. The green glow of a secure transmission. From deep space, report, Admiral, Counselor Threen commanded, her crystal form reflecting the eerie light. The Apex survivors have withdrawn beyond the galactic rim, Vexstar reported, his voice hollow with exhaustion. Our long-range scouts confirm they are fleeing, abandoning their territory, their harvesting operations, everything. They are leaving the galaxy entirely, and the humans. Vexstar's jaw parts clicked nervously. That is the problem. They are following them. The holographic display appeared above the council table, showing the galactic spiral arm. Red markers showed abandoned Apex positions. Blue markers, far too many blue markers showed human expansion. In 6 months, Humanity has claimed 17 former Apex territories, Vexstar continued. They are not just taking the systems, they are hunting down every remaining Apex cell, every hidden base, every survivor. Captain Minyoung's voice came through the communication system from the human vessel Endurance, Council Command. This is the Terran Expeditionary Force. We have eliminated the Apex presence in the Vega system. Moving to Sector 7 Alpha to continue cleanup operations. The casual terminology, cleanup operations, sent chills through every being in the chamber. They speak of genocide as if it were maintenance, Creono whispered. It is not genocide. Dr. Soyoung's voice joined the transmission. It is pest control. The Apex have been a plague on this galaxy for thousands of years. We are simply exterminating them. The choice of words was deliberate, and everyone in the chamber knew it. Dr. Soyoung III spoke carefully. The Council appreciates humanity's assistance in dealing with the Apex threat. But perhaps it is time to consider a ceasefire. Allow the survivors to leave peacefully. No. The single word cut through the diplomatic niceties like a blade. The Apex do not take prisoners. They do not negotiate. They do not coexist. They consume until nothing remains, Captain Youngman's voice added. We learned that lesson from Earth. When facing an extinction-level threat, you do not wound it, you kill it completely. Admiral Donghan's tactical assessment came through clearly. We have identified the Apex homeworld. Operation Final Solution begins in 72 hours. The silence that followed was deafening. Operation Final Solution, the humans were not just hunting the Apex. They were planning to sterilize their origin world. Surely, Creonal began desperately. There must be some way to find a peaceful solution. Admiral Jungwoo interrupted. You still do not understand what you are dealing with. Earth did not just make us survivors, it made us the ultimate predators. And predators do not leave threats alive to breed. The transmission shifted to show human fleet movements. Hundreds of vessels, armed with weapons that made Apex technology look primitive. Ships that had been forged in the crucible of a death world, crewed by beings who considered extinction-level events a form of entertainment. Human Captain Hyojin had been monitoring Apex communications for weeks. The fear in their transmissions was something new in galactic history. The Apex, who had terrorized civilizations for millennia, were now experiencing terror themselves. The galaxy has been ruled by fear for too long. Captain Hyojin's voice carried the calm certainty of absolute conviction. Fear of the Apex, fear of extinction, fear of fighting back. We are going to change that, by becoming the new Apex. Vexter asked, though he already knew the answer. No, Dr. Soyoung replied. By becoming something better. The Apex consumed worlds because they could. We are going to protect worlds because we choose to. The distinction was subtle but terrifying. The Apex had been a force of nature, destructive but predictable. Humanity was something far more dangerous. A force of nature with a moral code. Through the chamber's communication system came reports from across the galaxy. Human ships were appearing at former Apex strongholds. Not to claim territory, but to hunt. They moved through space like sharks following blood trails, relentless and efficient. The Council hereby offers humanity full membership, Threen announced, her voice carrying the weight of inevitable surrender. All privileges, all responsibilities, all protections under galactic law. Accepted, Captain Minyoung replied immediately. But understand this, we are not joining your council as equals. We are joining as your protectors. The galaxy belongs to us now. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Admiral Vexstar stared at the tactical display, watching blue human markers spread across the galaxy like a beneficial infection. They were right, of course. The galaxy did belong to them now. Earth had spent 4 billion years creating the perfect Apex predators, and they had finally been unleashed upon the stars. A human patrol fleet glided past the station's viewports with predatory grace. Their ships were scarred by battles fought in the fires of a dying world, crewed by beings who had learned that sometimes the greatest act of mercy was the complete destruction of evil. The galaxy had new Apex predators, and they were Earth's children. For the first time in galactic history, the Apex predators were the good guys. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for protectors who had learned to hunt with the fury of a world that had tried to kill them every single day.